The living cost is rising every day here in Slovakia. Not only in Slovakia, to be exact, but also in other countries as well. You know, because you are from the US, you are from Europe, and you know the same thing is happening all over the world. So, what can we do? We have to live somewhere. And the biggest expense is mostly rent. So when you watch some financial advisors, for example, financial guru Dave Ramsey, I like him a lot, but he gives you the advice, please get a flatmate. Get the flatmate. How can you get a flatmate when you are in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s? Well, you can do it, but how will your life look like? How would it affect your everyday life? Do you know? Let's say you are a 40-year-old man or woman and you want to have your relax when you come back from work, but then there is the other person in your kitchen and you want to make your dinner, you're hungry, but you have to wait until another person makes his or her dinner. So this is how it works. Like this is like shared living, and it's not for everyone. It might be good for the people who are in their 20s, early 20s, you know, but it's definitely not for everyone. Well, it can help you to save some money, but sometimes, you know, it depends on what type of person you are sharing your flat or house with. I had one flatmate in the past, and she was, for example, a toxic person. She was difficult to deal with. I wouldn't recommend anyone to move into the house or flat with such a person. Well, I know it might be a difficult situation because, for example, if you don't earn enough to afford your own flat or house, then you have to get someone, but at least get someone who is at the same level like you. Do you know what I mean? Maybe some of your friend who you know for some time, and don't get into the flat with a person you don't even know. Please don't make the same mistakes like I did in the past. Once I had a flatmate, and she was kind of toxic person. She went to bed at 9 o'clock every day, but the thing was, she wasn't tolerate to other people because every person has different needs. And for example, I went to bed later because this is how I work and this is my personality. But she wanted to enforce her beliefs onto other people. For example, when I went to brush my teeth and it was like 11 o'clock, I was very quiet. I was trying not to be noisy because I knew she was already sleeping, but she still could hear everything. Even if you didn't turn on the light in the hallway, and if if you just close the door quietly, she still could hear everything, even the water in the bathroom. And then she became quite arrogant. She was passive aggressive. Passive aggression was something she was doing to me all the time. She didn't tell you what she wanted, but she started to be arrogant to you. She started to point out at the mistakes, which were not really a big deal, you know. Like, for example, the bathroom was very clean, but she was like looking and said, "Oh, it's not, how should I say it? It's not shining," or something like that. She was really pointing out at stupid things and make my life miserable. It's not about the self-pity. I'm just trying to warn other people that it's better if you live by yourself or maybe with the people uh, who are your friends, you know, so you don't live with completely strangers because it's not good. I also have one quite funny story because I was cooking garlic soup in the kitchen and my flatmate, she was already sleeping because sometimes she goes to bed at 8 o'clock, sometimes she went to bed at 9 o'clock, and she could smell the garlic smell from the kitchen in her room, in her bedroom. I don't understand because when I went to my bedroom and closed the door, I couldn't smell anything. So maybe, you know, I'm not saying she couldn't smell it, but she had so much problems with it, and again, she started to be arrogant and all those kind of things. So, but I started not to do it because I realized, okay, it bothers you. So I said to myself, I'm not going to cook the garlic if she doesn't like it. But then she found another things, it's always like this, because if you live with someone else, it has its advantages. For example, it's cost efficient, you save a lot of money on the rent. I'm paying, for example, half amount of the normal rent. When I was living alone, I was like paying 600 euros, including the internet and all this stuff. So I was feeling like I'm not saving anything for retirement, and it was a big deal for me. That was the reason, the costs were the reason why I have moved to the flat with a flatmate. But then it has many downsides as well. And the most important thing is that you are completely losing your privacy. As I've mentioned, you return from work, you want to relax, but you cannot because there are other people in the kitchen. You don't even have your space in the bathroom. You share the shower, the toilet, everything. So it is cost effective on one side, but on the other side, it's not an ideal situation. And also other people have dietary preferences. Some of them, like my flatmate, they might not like the smell of the garlic. Or, I remember at one point I had a flatmate who was leaving the dirty dishes in the sink, and also sometimes there were like pieces of the meat, swimming in the sink, and it wasn't very, nice. So things like that always happen because some people like it very clean, some like it normal, some like it dirty. So it's very difficult to get on with different personalities. I remember I had one friend at one point, and she was saying to me, I would never ever live with a flatmate. I need my privacy. I'd rather have little things for dinner. Like she was trying to say, I'd rather spend less money on my food than to share my room with someone else. Not necessarily the room, but also the flat. And that was quite an interesting point. She was right, but at the same time, she wasn't able to save anything for retirement. She wasn't able to put any money aside. For example, she couldn't, build her wealth, her passive income, because she wasn't able to save anything. If you are looking for the compromise, you could find fewer flatmates. For example, you could live with one person instead of 2 or 3. But sometimes if it's a toxic person, it doesn't even help you, because I was living with one person and she was a problematic. So maybe I would personally prefer to live with more people, but with normal I can get along with. Then, if you like to live solo, if you don't want to live with any flatmates, you might choose your place somewhere outside of the city center where it is less expensive, and then you can also save some money, and you don't necessarily have to share your flat or house with someone else. So this is also one option. It depends on what you want, because it's important to save the money for the future. It's important to build the investment, but at the same time, if it's like affecting your mental health and you don't get on well with those people, it's just not worth, in my opinion. So maybe it's good to take to have the same attitude like my friend, and maybe say to yourself, okay, I will spend less money on food, and I'd rather have my own space. So this is one of the solutions. But I truly believe people shouldn't really be enforced to live with other people, and current economic situation is forcing people to do it, so, and it's not good. So is government doing enough to help people who have to share the room with someone else, even if they don't want to? Well, not necessarily, because government could do more, in my opinion. They could support job training for people to become more skilled in a certain area. Then they could offer unemployment benefits for the people who are outside of work for some time. They could also build more micro apartments for the people who live solo, who don't have partner or a husband or wife. They could also improve healthcare so that people don't have to spend fortune on medical bills. They could also raise the minimum wage to reflect the actual cost of living. And also, not to forget one important thing, they should promote job opportunities which are flexible, which are remote, so that people don't have to necessarily travel to work. They can save the money on commuting, and that would help solo people as well. Thanks for watching. If you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and see you in my next video.